G'day, Matt here for SilviaWA, and we're back for another episode of Build Breakdown, this time with another Matt, so that's just going to be a good time, isn't it?
How you doing, Matt?
It's better than one Matt, that's two. And we've got his Supercharged S15, big old V8, very rowdy. Yeah, pop the hood, let's see what's going on under there, mate.
Yeah, where all the magic happens here. Rightio.
So talk me through it, mate. What are we looking at?
So, sorry to all the Silvia boys, but yeah.
Definitely not, purity wasn't number one when building this, was it?
Yeah, nah, this setup's definitely about getting some time on track, you know, so definitely probably pisses a few Silvia boys off, but I'm all about the turbo and Jap cars, but when it comes down to competition, this is like proven way to do it, so it had to be done.
SR struggle around main track anyway.
Yeah, and like this thing's making 700 horsepower and that's detuned, like it could easily do like 800, 850.
As much as the turbo's car is cool, the whine from the Supercharged has definitely got to be a good thing to play with.
And 700 horsepower is, it's, you know, there's nothing, the engine is stock pretty much, internals, you know. To build a 700 horsepower RB, you know, you got to pull motors apart, so it's kind of cool. Touch wood, nothing goes wrong with it, but so far, you know, we're still doing some testing and stuff. But
yeah, we're going to be out with you tomorrow, getting some track runs, checking it out. Maybe some passenger rides, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, yep.
So when did you buy it? How long have you had it?
So just coming over 2.5 years. I had an R32 before this with an LS in it as well, unfortunately. But that car was a precursor for this setup. So I always knew I was going to build an S15 down the track, and kind of had my mind set on one. And when I got back from holiday, this was sitting there ready to go. So it was just a chassis when I got it, and had a couple of gearboxes and a motor sitting on a stand next to it. So a fair bit of work's gone into it. But yeah, I've had
it's all DIY, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the fab work, as you can see, definitely not done by me. This is all Mert Automotive. Yep. With the fab work, he's done some good stuff there. Don't zoom into my worlds, because cover those dodgy ones up. But yeah, so the fab work is one thing where I've had to like outsource, but definitely everything else, and kind of designed and came up. So the whole idea with this car was to keep everything simple, and that's why the coil packs are mounted on the heads and stuff. Everything's simple, so you can go to Repco and buy plugs and leads, you know. So when I had the R32, because they were mounted on the back, I had to redo the whole leads, you know, and you got to basically, it's all custom, so you can't, if you break something.
You got to redo it. And you know it's DIY, because you zoom in, we've got a little new catch count there.
little touch.
WA flavour right there.
Yeah, that's the Pilbara coming back out.
Yeah. Like you were saying before, you don't have wise fab, so.
Yeah, I've got it in a box, like literally, I've got wise fab sitting in a box, like 3.5 grand's worth of lock kit sitting in a box, and I just kind of want to drive the car and learn the car, like the chassis, because it's an awesome chassis, right? You guys all know that. And I've had a lot of Nissan Skylines, and I've always wanted an S15. So yeah, I just want to drive the chassis, see how it actually drives. It's got cut and shut setup, real basic, extended LCAs, and
BCs, I see.
Yeah, it's got it's actually running fuel suspension, which is what a lot of the drifters are going to. It's quite good gear. Brendan Greaves runs it in all his cars, so he did all the spring rates and everything for us. So it's got good suspension, full cut and shut setup on the front and rear as well. I think the rear's not running much adjustable stuff, but it's good. It'll give me a chance to like learn how to set the car up with alignments and stuff.
And did the car have a tube front?
Yeah, so the beauty about this chassis was the price I picked it up for. I already had the cage and a lot of the tube work you see, which is not typically how we would build a drift car these days. So it's quite an old chassis as far as like it was built probably about 10 years ago. And it's quite evident when you look over the car and the way the tube work's done. It was done from a guy over east before I bought it. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but it works. It still works. It's a real clean car underneath all the panels as well.
It's definitely just put together and executed very well.
Yeah, I think if we were going to build it from scratch and it was a banged up S15, you just cut the rear out and do it exactly how everyone does it. Put a full tube rear.
In terms of chassis quality.
But it's actually a really clean car. If I pop the boot,
we'll check out the boot.
Yeah, I'll pop the boot off, and if you have a look on the inside of the panels, there's not many of them that are drift cars that are this clean underneath.
And this is all carbon fibre?
Yeah, definitely. It takes about 20 kilos off the back of the car. So you got to watch it. Yeah, all the panel work's all like original.
Yeah.
And this is quite a different setup as well with the rear bar work. A lot of people will just cut the back of the cars off.
Chuck it in, yeah.
I kind of like that it's still all original. So I'll try and keep it as tidy as I can for as long as I can. Obviously, once we start competing, it's going to be up to the other guys to not hopefully bang into us. But it's got a rear bar set up as well, so hopefully that'll save a bit.
Yeah. And fuel, is it?
So I kept the internal tank. So a lot of guys will pull the tank out, but what it does is it moves all the weight up higher.
That's true.
And the center of gravity is up higher. So that apparently these tanks were, they were put in the right spot from factory. They're nice and low down underneath the axles there.
Yeah.
So what I did is just run a lift pump and then a full surge tank set up. It's got quite a decent fuel system. It's like capable of 800 horsepower. As far as those, they're just twin Bosch 044 genuines, so they're 400 horsepower each. Foot pushing forward and just a lift pump. So it works good, like no dramas on the dyno with that fuel setup. So
drifting's one of those things you just want. You don't want nothing to get in your way. You don't want to overcomplicate things if you don't need to.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of the street guys would know, but the reason why we're on surge tanks, probably everyone's aware now, is because when you're drifting sideways around the corner, you'll get fuel slosh in your tank, and you pick up, if you lose it. Running naturally aspirated, it's not too bad. You might car might bog down a bit, but with a supercharged 700 horsepower car, you'll pop motors. Yep.
So this is the weapon station, mate. Well, what have we got going here?
Yeah, so just starting with the wheel, just a NRG. Ended up running like a short hub on it, just to try and get the wheel set back a bit further, because I'm a short ass. So that just sets it back a little bit further. What else we got? Sequential shifter. However, it's still a TR6060 box. So I've got a couple spare boxes just over there.
Just chilling.
Yeah, just two spare TR6060s just sitting down. Because I'm not expecting the TR60 to last that long. But we'll see how it goes. So far, so good. It's a cheap option to run a sequential, and so far it feels quite nice to shift. Still a bit of a work in progress, bit of testing to go with it.
As you said, you haven't got like major seat time with it.
Yeah.
As of yet. So.
Yeah, we'll see how we go tomorrow.
We're going to Kings.
Yeah.
And we got Haltech race pack, they're called?
Yeah, so the thing with this is I run it runs a race pack PDM, so it's a power distribution module. If you pop that off there, it's all neatly tucked under there. The PDM basically is like a central point for all your wiring. Good work, Jed. Yeah, so
we'll do the Instagram plug real quick.
Oh yeah.
Instagram plug real quick, look at that.
Cheers, boy.
Right there.
So PDM just basically gets rid of all your fuses, all your relays, just a nice central thing. I'm sure you guys are probably starting to hear a bit about them, but it's a really easy way to wire your car, and you can plug a laptop in, you can check all your parameters, change fuse set points and all that, circuit breaker trip points, all that type of thing, inputs and outputs, and it's all switched from up here. Basically this is like an input into that, and it will send a signal out, so you've got your ignition, lights, hazards, basically everything runs through the PDM, and the ECU's stock, but the ECU talks to the PDM and the PDM talks to the Haltech dash as well. It's also got some external, what are they called, transmitters as well.
Yep.
So stop that.
I have no idea.
So fuel pressure sensor and stuff. So it's got fuel pressure, all the important stuff speaks directly to the dash, and it'll light up on you.
Yeah, and a big old hydro.
Yeah, hydro. I ran an inline in the last car. This is a full independent, so we're running like a GDR rear brakes, and it's got like a dual caliper set up on it.
Yep.
So this is runs an external reservoir, which is up here. And then I've also got brake reservoir and clutch reservoir all mounted there, so you can fill them up.
Tucked away. thank you for letting us come check out the car, mate. It's been a pleasure. And I guess stay tuned, because coming up next, right after this, in fact, we're going to Barbagallo. It's Wanneroo now, is it? Or whatever it is. We're going there anyway tomorrow to see this thing rip on track, so stay tuned.
Hopefully. That should be alright.